one second. Sorry. My phone.
My
Sorry.
life.
Hi, everybody. Hold on. We're getting there.
Right.
Just, I forgot to get this set. Hold on. Sorry. Shoot. Okay, perfect. Three, two, one, and action. All right, let's talk to Jack, who's 22 years old. Jack, you are in Manila. You're called Jack because you said you're a big fan of the radio show, so I appreciate that, sir. Welcome to the
Yeah.
podcast. Is this your first time on the show?
Yeah, it's my first time.
Sounds good, brother. You are in Quezon City, and you have a question. You're a med student, you told me off here, right?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
I'm in third year medical school here in the Philippines.
Third year medical school. How many years before you get signed off to be like a doctor?
We have to finish 4 years of in medical school, and then after that we graduate and go into residency or maybe practice as a general practitioner.
And how long is that?
It depends on what specialization you choose.
Adam, what's the
So,
minimum amount of years I will take if I want to be a doctor? I mean, not a specialist, just a general practitioner. Is it 4 years college, 4 years med school, and that's it? You're in?
No, it's different. Like, so, in England,
Yeah.
5 years med school, 2 years like junior training, and then after that you choose your speciality. So GP is like a speciality in England and Australia. So GP would then be another 4 years or 3 years after that. So I finished my GP when I was 30, and then.
Wow. Okay.
But so after those 2 years, you can also choose to be like specialist, and then you have another 10 or 15 years training after that. If you wanted to be, let's say, cardiologist or whatever specialty you chose to do. So yeah, around if you want to be a GP around the age of 29, 30, you kind of finished with your training.
So there are no 22-year-old doctors, 25-year-old doctors walking around. Yes.
Well, yeah, you're a junior doctor. So you're a junior doctor in the hospital. Okay. I was a junior doctor in the hospital at 24.
Okay.
But very junior, like basically the dog's body, doing all the paperwork, running around, night shifts,
coffee
7 days a week.
Really?
It was we paid way less than the nursing. I think it equated to. I can't remember exactly, but it's about £5 an hour I was getting when I was junior.
No
doctor.
way, that's like minimum wage.
Yeah,
as a doctor.
It was awful. Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, Jack, is that related to your call? I know you want to talk a little bit about this whole experience. So whenever you're ready, brother, give your backstory, get your question going. Adam and I are here for you, man. What's up?
Yeah. Okay. So, recently, Mo, you tweeted, asking the question: is the Philippines the worst country in the world that's currently not in civil war?
Yes,
I mean,
I did. Is the Philippines the worst country that's not in current coup d'etat or civil war? Because I mean, obviously, we're not the worst country in the world, but in terms of we're the worst country without really a political meltdown, I could say we're a contender, right? Adam, what do you think?
I'm not commenting on that.
Okay, well, remember, I phrased it in a question, okay? I was not saying we were either, but it's a rhetorical question in the sense that I wouldn't ask it if I didn't, in fact, think it, right? I don't go around going, hey, everybody, is Denmark the worst country in the world that's not in political meltdown? I mean, the point I am asking at the same time telling, I guess, is the tweet. But anyway, what did that move you? Or in some
I guess you asking that question, I mean, it just shows how fucked up the country is right now.
Sure.
I mean, I listed a few things that are really frustrating me currently. I mean, these are all like, for example, the issue with China, with Duterte being a pussy and a coward.
Okay.
We have to deal with Duterte slapdogs. We have Harry Roque faking getting COVID, and then when he did get COVID, he skipped the line for a bed in not just any hospital,
right.
in Philippine General Hospital, where usually the poorest of the poor go.
Right.
And then we have the incompetent DOH. We have the people leading the quote unquote war on COVID are fucking retired generals. And at Doc Adam, you talked about ivermectin, and
Yeah.
just yesterday they were giving it out here in Quezon City. And people were given prescriptions for ivermectin without names of doctors or license numbers of doctors. So it's just a half-torn bond paper with ivermectin written on it.
Oh,
Disgrace. What a disgrace.
we might be the worst country that's not a civil war. Okay. Is there any more on that list that you'd like to share?
The scarce supply of vaccines.
Right.
Healthcare workers being unappreciated and underpaid and overworked.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
recently, a survey or poll showed that for the elections next year, we have Sara Duterte,
Yeah, clearly.
Bongbong Marcos,
Right.
Manny Pacquiao, and Isko. So
Yeah. In other words, the shit show will continue. Yeah. So,
yeah,
are you like, how is this affecting your life then? I mean, I get it. It's tough on the mental. It's tough on just kind of awareness. But you're a third year med student, man. I mean, how is this going to affect you though?
right. Well, I'm considering moving out of the country after finishing my education and practicing as a doctor outside the country, hopefully, where healthcare workers are more appreciated.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Adam's sitting here. I'm not going to comment on that. Great idea, by the way. Great idea. Okay, is there a question? Jack.
So, I have a few questions.
Sure.
First would be, should I move out of the country? And if yes, where would you suggest? And where is it possible for a Filipino doctor to practice as a physician, considering the language barrier and all of that?
You seem to have a pretty good command of the language, and I'm sure you're bilingual. Maybe, yeah. So I think you're going to be fine.
Your English is better than mine.
So I mean, I don't think we need to tackle the language barrier unless you're thinking about going to countries. I think we had a call. Remember, we had a call from, was it Norway? Adam, were you on that call where the girl was from Norway? And I think she had to like pass an exam or something to get from where she was working, which was like, I think she was working as house help, and then get into the nursing status or something. I'm not sure if you were on that call, or if this was an episode here or a different one. Did you hear that call, Jack?
Yeah. That call actually inspired me to call, since the caller talked about living in Norway and you inspired her to move to Norway, and she was living her best life there under the northern lights, and I was just reflecting, looking at the life here in the Philippines, which is, I don't know how to describe it, but yeah.
Well, first of all, you sound deflated, man. Yeah. Right.
It's the brain drain. It's the brain drain again.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
All the educated people wanting to leave.
Right.
First it was more.
I think that's why Adam's like from outside and he's a part of us. But Adam, I mean, not.
I did a similar thing. I'm English,
right,
and it was probably not to the same degree, but completely fucked up working in England. It was awful. It was awful working in England. It was a disgusting environment to work in, and I left. I got out because it was unpleasant. I moved to a better place to be a doctor. So I moved to Australia.
Surprising, Adam. Can we talk about yours a little bit, and then we'll hit Jack's here real quick, because I think this is an interesting revelation, at least for me. England, in my eyes, and I'm sure to many Filipinos and to many other people around the world, this is as first world gets, right? I mean, it is upper tier country. In our, foreigners probably look at England and think it that way. And shit, I mean, if I only assume the medical scene whether it be the care or even as a professional, is top notch. So I'm kind of shocked that you said it was awful. In what capacity was it so bad?
I think the big problem there is the expectations of the public versus what the National Health Service can deliver. So you're seeing 50 to 60 patients a day who have very high expectations, heading towards like private levels of care for their health. It's an aging population with multiple health problems, and you're sitting there doing 10-minute appointments, trying to deal with 4 or 5 problems from a person who, not everyone, but who's more than happy to sue you if you do something wrong. So, I mean, I never had any problems with litigation or anything back in the UK, but it was definitely on your mind 24/7. 24/7, you're worrying. You're trying to rush through appointments at the same time, thinking, if I screw up here, I could lose my license. It was awful. It was shit.
Yeah,
so
pretty rough.
I think that culture hasn't yet developed in the Philippines, does it? So the expectations aren't as high, I don't think, yet in the Philippines.
Right.
So yeah, I think, is it a nice place to live in England? Yeah, there's good food, good standard of living, but if you're going into work every day and you've got 50 people expecting more than you can deliver, it becomes very unpleasant very quickly.
How does somebody research? And this goes into what Jack is asking, Adam, right? How did you know Australia was going to be better? Considering all of the similarities between Australia and England historically, it doesn't necessarily mean the way of life is the same, right? I'm sure there's really, really large contrast. How do you know? And this is where Jack is like, okay, which country am I picking then? Like, I'm not sure, Jack, if you knew that England had that kind of reputation in their medical system. I don't even know if you would jump at the chance of going to England and be a doctor, and all of a sudden now Adam is giving his testimony. You're like, okay, wait a minute, what the fuck, right? So, how'd you pick Australia? Why'd you pick Australia? Like, how did you know it was going to be better?
It's just a guess. The good thing about being a doctor is it does give you a passport to work in lots of countries, right? So if I'd come to Australia and it was awful, then I could have left after a year. I could have traveled, seen the country, got out. So it was just a guess. And it's the same with, I think I applied for a job in New Zealand as well. It just so happened that we came to Australia.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And the other reason we chose Australia actually was because it's accessible to the Philippines, and obviously my girlfriend's Filipino and wanted to be able to go back. Yeah.
So, Jack, it doesn't sound like you have anything more than the thought about doing it, right? You don't have any concrete plans. You don't even have a country in mind. So we're still in the infancy stages. We're in the, okay, wait a minute, should I do it? And we've heard the horror stories, everything from the low pay to the shit show to you even unrelated to the medical stuff, just your quality of life, that you seem to be deflated by how the government handles certain things. I don't know, Adam, can he leave year 3, or he really has to see this through, become a doctor and then head out?
Yeah, you need to finish your training, but I think he knows that. But then there's definitely, there's definitely options for you, even with a Filipino degree, to work abroad. Like the doctor I worked with until she left recently was Filipino or Filipina. She worked in Singapore for 10 years, and then she moved to Sydney, and then she moved to Melbourne, and then we worked together.
Right.
So she'd done all her training in the Philippines.
My doctor here is also Filipino. He did his training in the Philippines as well. So, I mean, obviously it is possible. There might be a little bit more schooling involved and stuff like that. But maybe a question I'd like to ask Jack is, what about the calling? Okay, so we've had this question before on the show, very similar to yours. You may have heard it. People who wanted to be doctors, who wanted to stay in the country because they wanted to help their people, right? This field. And then, like you, they see what's going on and like, fuck that, man. I want out because it's just not good. It's not good for the way I feel about myself, what I'm doing, what I've worked hard for. Did you become a doctor because it was a calling? Did you become a doctor because, like many Asian families, they make you do it? Did you become a doctor because you wanted to give back to your country? Like, what was the energy behind even getting into this?
Well, not really to give back to the country. Well, my parents are doctors, and
Okay.
I saw them working as a child, and it got me interested in the field as well. So I
Perfect.
think,
Then get out. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Well,
But then I was thinking maybe before I make a final decision, should I just wait for the elections next year and see the aftermath, and maybe see if we get to elect someone competent, and see if there are any improvements that may possibly make me stay here instead.
well, you won't finish. You won't finish medical school before the elections.
Right, right.
No, but there's an argument that when you finish training you'll be 24, 25. What's wrong in traveling the world for 5 or 6 years, doing some work here and there, and then going back to the Philippines? Like, that's a viable option and probably a good option. Get some money abroad. It might be
Right.
and it's definitely a doable thing. It's definitely something you could do.
Yeah, that's true. Are there like residency, um, like can Filipino med graduates take residency like outside the Philippines?
I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, you'd probably have to look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, that's something. That's why I said we're nowhere near there right now in terms of this conversation, right? It does seem we are step one, which is what do you think? I've been thinking about it. I mean, we just talked about that stuff that you're referencing. I mean, we're talking weeks ago, right? So it's really early. Even the energy behind wanting to go because of some of those things that you listed. A lot of those things that you listed, whether it be ivermectin which Adam and I've been laughing about now for a couple of weeks, all of that stuff are recent developments. Okay, so this could be just I'm pissed off right now, and then you're going to act upon it, and it just be too drastic of a decision based on more recent events, or if this has been something that you've been cooking up again for quite some time, for years now, 2 years, 3 years, and then it makes it a better option for you in that case. I love what Adam said. There's nothing wrong with traveling the world, and I want you to. I want all of you guys to do that, to travel when you're young, to move away when you're young, and see what the world is like, and then make the decision. Hey, do I stay here or I do go home? I remember when you messaged me on Instagram, like you were talking about going abroad and like banging hot chicks in different countries, and I was like, even that for that reason, do it. Fine,
Right.
go, man. Do it for any reason, right? But it sounds like you have to finish school first, Jack, and that's the reality. And that's not going to happen for a couple of years. So the wait and see it's mandatory anyway.
And also, I think the pandemic's highlighted problems in all countries. Everyone's pissed off at the government in Australia, and everyone's pissed off at the NHS in the UK. Everyone's annoyed in the pandemic, right? I mean, I can't argue that there's a lot of screwed things happening in the Philippines right now, and it's really annoying. Even when I look online now, and I'm just like, I find it so frustrating. The news in the Philippines, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But it's definitely highlighted problems worldwide. So,
yep, that's good. That's a really, really good point. And I just don't want you to overreact. Maybe I don't think you're overreacting, but I don't know you, and I'm not in your body. I just want to make sure that you're not overreacting over recent developments and then changing your life drastically. However, again, having said that, I encourage you all, if you're young and you're capable, to go abroad and to learn and to absorb culture in different places, and then make a decision on what you want to do for the next X amount of years of your life. I'm all for that. All right, brother.
All right. But I have another question, if that's
Sure.
okay.
Fire.
It's a political question. Mo.
Yeah.
You're a huge Bernie Sanders fan.
I am.
Well, if there is, who is the closest to a Bernie Sanders equivalent here in the Philippines?
Oh shit! I
The
don't know.
person who you want to see run and you will proudly support and campaign for, I guess.
I don't know.
Dr. Ron.
I don't know. And that's a tough question because I'm not. I'm such a Bernie Sanders guy. I haven't felt that way about anybody in a really long time, and I've felt that way about him now for a very long time. So it's they don't just grow on trees. That faith you have in somebody doesn't just, okay, I moved on from this one to the next one. I just because he lost twice, and I've campaigned for him both times and caucused and all of that stuff, it I still think about what he's doing today. I still like think about his thoughts. It's not natalo tapos biglang hanap na ako ng ibang kabayo. No, I can't do that for us either. I don't know. When I was younger, it was Raul Rocco, and you don't know who he is because you're 22, right? But if I were going to pick one out of nowhere, just kind of from what I hear, but no real research, it does seem like, at least in the most recent election for senators, it seemed like Chell was a pretty hot pick amongst the young and the educated. And it's funny because you brought it up earlier, Adam. You're like, oh yeah, brain drain. The educated leave. Well, why do the educated leave? Because they know what the fuck is going on. Like they're educated enough to go, okay, this is shit, and leave.
Completely.
And yeah, it's not cowardice. It's survival instinct. It's like, I have the capability to give me / my family a better life because I'm equipped with that, and I can't achieve that here. Or I can, but I'd have to be bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard for good people to do well.
Set yourself up a pyramid scheme or multi-level marketing or a cancer cure, and you'll have plenty of money.
Right? Exactly, right? How do you become successful in the Philippines by being a good person?
Nobody will regulate that. Nobody will regulate that stuff.
Yeah.
Or you can sit there and be a doctor and get, I don't know what the average wage is for a doctor in the Philippines, but not very much. Or you can set up a pyramid scheme and make a fortune. It's screwed.
It's screwed. Absolutely. And the numbers, Jack, you listen to the radio show. We talk about this every now and then, how much money you guys are making, you younger doctors. We're hearing upwards up to what? 11,000, 14,000, 15,000 pesos. Man, that's, for all you who are listening who don't know what that amount is and you're somewhere abroad, you're talking 300 USD a month. A month.
That's disgusting.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Doctors, you fucking 8-10 years of your life and you're not making anything.
Well, even one of the nurses get paid nothing in the Philippines. And all the nurses, not all the nurses, but so many nurses leave, right? I was shocked. Was it like 8,000 pesos a month for a nurse?
Yeah, that's insane. Again, now what are we talking there? That's 150 USD a month, and then I mean, I feel like Aladdin. I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Nurses here in the US, you come here, fucking buy a Range Rover if you wanted to buy a Range Rover.
How much does a like fully qualified doctor get in the Philippines? Like somebody who's 10 years down the line, like a cardiologist or something like that.
I mean, I think it's okay. I think it's definitely enough to be comfortable. Jack, if you have that answer, let me know. But I mean, I have my doctors in the Philippines that are, you have to have your own practice, by the way. You have your own practice. You're 10 years in, you're maybe even a little bit more. You can be comfortable, but it's nowhere near what you can get abroad. And the people that stay, they stay, I think, for reasons well beyond medicine, their families, whatever. But no, man. I mean, we know this from abroad. There are a lot of people who are doctors who come here to be nurse practitioners and wait, and they're just happier. Even if it's quote unquote a step or title lower, they'll do it. And then we have a lot of nurses that come here and then they end up being, say, caregivers and title lower than that, but still making way more than they would have back home. And then with a little bit more education or whatever qualifications they need, they level up to the status that they were in back home, and they're making hand over fist money. And again, it's not just about money, but obviously money is really, really incredibly important. It should be a driving force, not the entire thing, but definitely a major part of it. And that's how you live a comfortable life. You provide for your families. You could provide for your family back home. So, but you know what? To answer Adam's question, Jack, I forgot. Your parents are doctors. So, were they successful enough in the Philippines to give you and themselves a very comfortable life?
Yeah, I think so. But
How
then
do you do
it took them quite a while, I guess. Um, I mean, it takes time to like establish yourself as a doctor here, and um, yeah, I don't think it's that easy to earn that much
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All right, brother. Well, you know what? Thanks for the call.
yeah,
I think you should think about it a little bit, but it's kind of obvious. I'm pro leave because you're 22, and you know it's nice
sure,
to
sure.
to showcase, see the world and kind of experience it. And I think Adam was kind of on the page too as well. Okay.
Thank you, Doc Adam, and thank you, Mo, as well.
No
All right.
worries.
Thanks,
Have a
Jack.
good day. See ya.
Appreciate it,
All
sir.
right,
Have a good one.
see you guys.
Doctors, I think, can live a comfortable life. I think they really, 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 really though have to get lucky. It's an immense struggle, and it takes a really long time. Nurses, nurses. I mean, if you're a nursing student right now in the Philippines, I'm going to say the great majority of you guys have your eyes on abroad. Like we have a ton of nursing programs. We fire out nursing students and graduates a ton. I'm going to say the massive majority of them have their eyes abroad, and I don't. And I would too.
Yeah.
I'm
I
close
agree.
to saying you should never be a nurse in the Philippines. I'm like this close to saying that fucking phrase coming out of my mouth.
However, in my limited experience of being in the Philippines with the nurses and stuff, they do seem happy, right? So, like, it seems like a nice work environment. Like, it might not be for everyone, but from my experience, it seems like a nice work environment. There's like high staff numbers.
Yep.
Everyone's sort of mingling around, like not mingling, but like having a nice time together.
Right.
It's
That's pretty sad. You're right.
It's less high pressure than some of the other environments I've been in the world and worked. You know.
Adam, I gotta ask you. So in the Philippines, right? And we talk about this on the show a lot because there's such an exciting, sleazy world of medicine. Sa Pilipinas, no, the med rep that comes to the doctor's office, and these guys they go to the fucking strip clubs. Fucking, they've got budget, right? That's so ingrained in our culture. The med rep.
And I didn't realize. Oh, I'm moving.
Yeah.
Jack, don't leave, Jack.
Yeah, that's why the med reps are, they're probably not even the best salesmen, but fucking attractive, I'll tell you that. And then the male med reps are armed with a pretty considerable fun budget, Adam. Where Air Force One, it's fucking, again, just girls and trips and gadgets and shit, because that's where the pharmaceuticals are going to make money. So they got a huge budget. Is that the same culture in Australia, in England, countries that have huge social services? Obviously it's not quote unquote free, but people do come in and they don't have to be, doctors don't really have to jack up prices too much, I'm assuming. So in the Philippines, med rep, whoo, man. In the US, med rep too, but it's not as sleazy. It's a lot of free food, free tickets to the shows. It's a lot of that shit. Philippines, man, it's fun, I think.
We're not allowed anything like that.
No?
There's nothing. No, we get like a sandwich.
You'd be lucky to get a Starbucks.
Starbucks, no way. I don't think there's even Starbucks in Australia. Oh no, there is a few. There's a few, but yeah, we don't get anything.
There's no spoiling Sir Doc Adam. There's none of that. Oh, Doc Adam, mali ka nga dito. Labas tayo. Pero wag mo daling girlfriend mo.
I think they're essentially they're not meant to influence our opinion too much, right, on what we prescribe. So all that stuff's been removed. And back in the UK, it was even worse. It was like, at least here, I get taken out for a sandwich. In the UK, it was like a packaged tuna.
When I go to my doctor here in the US, right? I mean, every day, Anna, I'll walk in, and we're friends too now. So it's not like I'll visit him even if it's not medical related. If I'm just going, hey, I'm gonna hang out, and I'll go in and fucking shit you not. Every day is a spread. It looks like a fucking 5-star buffet. every single day, every day.
Man.
And I asked them, "Do you have a party here every day?" No, that's not a party. That's them. We have a room just for people to drop off the most lavish spoils. And I'm not exaggerating, not an ounce. Every single day, every day.
I need to take a look in the mirror.
It really is. Like, if I mean, sometimes I'll be driving. I'm like, oh, there's his office. Oh shit, I haven't eaten yet. I'm guaranteeing there's fucking lava cake, chocolate, there's just fucking crab legs this big. Fucking legit.
Man,
Every day.
there's something going wrong in Australia.
No, in the end, no. You know what? No. Like,
no, but it's a good thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
I do hear these stories from the past where people used to be taken to Disney World and on cruises and all these things by drug companies. That's like morally a bad thing. That is a bad thing. Like, like it would lead to inappropriate prescribing of medication, I think.
Hence Jack saying ivermectin being prescribed maybe in fucking Manila, half a sheet of paper with nobody's names on it. Maybe, you know what I mean? It's gonna, whether it's truly ivermectin or not, but I'm saying it is, you're right. It's going to be, okay, I'm going to prescribe this one because this is where I'm getting hooked up.
Well, here, they give me a tuna sandwich. I won't prescribe their drug.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we have more of the show. We'll see you right after, just a couple of minutes. Don't go away.
Let's just end that.